Hi, this is Jerry,
And David.
and I have a question. Using humor and sarcasm to improve your life. Would this revitalize mitochondria, maybe defeat a self-sabotage?
I don't know. I think that's a very good question.
Okay, the question is, will humor or even sarcasm have any effect on the revitalization of human life? And that comes down to mitochondria itself. I will tell you that many, many years ago, there was a gentleman who was told he was going to die of cancer. And he was given various kinds of treatments, and finally he just went home, and this was the age of video cassettes. And he went and got a large number of Laurel and Hardy cassettes, a lot of Three Stooges, all kinds of belly laugh, kind of silly, humorous videos. And he subscribed to several newspapers so he could read the funny papers. And he would listen to television shows that were humor. That's all he allowed into his life. And he said, I got to do a belly laugh for at least 2 or 3 hours every day watching these silly things. He would watch them sometimes over and over, and he would still laugh. And he beat cancer. People say, oh, it's just in his head. Well, that's true. But that's where the brain is. And the brain controls your endocrine system. There's a lot of parts of the brain that control that. That's a place where a lot of powerful human created drugs are produced, or the signals go to various parts of the body to produce that from the brain. And he used that to generate the good chemicals in his body. He wouldn't let any negative thoughts come in. He wouldn't watch the news. He just used that. And he also worked on getting rid of these self-destructive thoughts that he had. I think he had a father that was really hard on him. So every time he'd start to get a thought on that, he'd stick another cassette in, start laughing at Laurel and Hardy or something. And he would refuse to self-destruct. He would refuse to say, I'm going to give up. This is more than I can take. I can't do this. Okay. He believed he could. And that was how he beat that. So I believe that those good chemicals that are generated through that kind of situation actually do help with the revitalization of mitochondria. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's personal. In 2009, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And it was a result of having been assaulted about 15 years before, and almost 20 years before. And the doctor said, after they figured out it was a brain tumor, which it didn't for a while, that it was somewhat of an undiagnosed bleeder that stopped bleeding in the brain. And it didn't really start to affect me until 2009. But one of the things that I did, I followed what this guy did. And also, I never took any drugs whatsoever. And now the thing has shrunk to half its size in the last year and a half, because I've started to apply some other techniques, and it does not impair me whatsoever anymore. No impairment. And I have ways to test that. Now, what I began to do is I began to write comedy. I began to write humor. And I wrote over 2,500 comedy panels, various panels, and various one-liners for drawings that could be made. I could do drawings, but I don't have the time to do the cartooning. It would be a lot of fun, but I just don't have the time. But I carry a little book, and when I see something funny, even today, I'll write it down. Or I'll think of something funny, I'll write it down. Some witty sarcasm, I'll write it down. And I believe that I am alive today because of this fun that I had for the last 10 years. I've had a good time. And I don't have any self-defeating, sabotaging thoughts. I don't let that into my life. And I have cut all the relationships in my life with people who were negative, as some people would say nowadays, psychic vampires. I got rid of all these people in my life who were just dragging me down. I would talk with somebody, and when I left, I felt like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not putting up with that. I go out and make new friends like David and everybody else, and go out and go to medical school and start a new laboratory and just have a blast. And so I have my mitochondria tested, and I'm rewarded. My mitochondria is very, very healthy. Thank you very much. Very healthy. And I attribute that to the good care and feeding of the mitochondria and the idea that I think humor and sarcasm and wit is also a secret to long life. And if you don't get long life, at least you have a good time getting there. So anyway, you have any comments about that? I know you've run into this kind of thing before.
Yeah, I mean, just personally, I think there's some truth in that with how you feel, after you go to a comedy show or watch a really good movie, enjoy your times with a friend. Just have that overall feeling of joy and happiness just resonating within your brain and mind. And I know personally that sometimes for me it carries over to the next day and so
Absolutely.
on. And I think, there's got to be some truth there behind the endorphin flow.
Oh, absolutely.
As far as those feelings that you get receiving your brain.
Everybody has had a favorite aunt or a favorite cousin or just a really good friend that when you have a little time with them, and after they go away, it's like the sky is full of butterflies. It's just like, this is so neat. That person is really neat. Matter of fact, I'm going to share one with you. I was in a big box store shopping for some kind of string for my weed eater. And a gentleman says, oh, that's over here. Let me show you where that is. And he said, I was just looking for that. He didn't work there. But I figured he was somewhere late 70s. So I got talking. I noticed he had a cap, and it had a certain kind of ship on it. It was World War II. And I'm thinking, well, we're getting kind of far down the road to have 70-something-year-olds in World War II, because I'll be 70 next year, and I'm a long way from being old enough to have served even in the Korean War. My time was around the Vietnam War, so that's 20-something years. I'm thinking, something's not right. I'm looking at this guy, and finally I said, sir, could I ask you a question, a personal question? And he said, sure. How old are you? And he just smiled. He said, how old do you think I am? And I said, 78. I'd bet anything on it. And he says, well, he'd lose. I'm 98. And I'm like, what? 98 years old. And this guy had humor like you wouldn't believe. He had an attitude about, he loved life. And I mean, I almost didn't believe he's 98 years old. And he volunteers some old folks home, take care of some of those old people. And it was just an amazing person. He said, I love my great-great-grandkids, It's like, well, yeah, I guess you have some of those. They're really something. And so, I don't think that man ever knew what self-defeating comments in the brain were all about. It wouldn't in his world. So my goal is to is to at least be something like that gentleman. Just wow. And I felt good for 2 weeks after that, meeting this guy, because it's like, whoa. And I'll be thinking about, and then I think about him. Whoa, this is so cool. So I know you've met people like that, but that was like a month ago, and I was so astounded at this individual. So anyway, I know that his mitochondria was in very good shape. I mean, his skin color, the texture of his skin and everything else, that this guy is healthy. This guy probably walks a couple of miles every day, and he probably eats everything out of his own garden, which I found out to be true. He doesn't eat anything out of the store. So he loves growing. He's the green grandpa. He grows everything for the whole family. So anyway, but yeah. So that's pretty much it on the revitalization of mitochondria. So
that's very helpful. Something that probably a lot of individuals don't necessarily think about when they think about their health. So
people don't know about mitochondria, why it's so important. No, whatever. But no, it's the most critical system in your body. If you take some kind of supplement for your mitochondria, every other supplement that you take is going to work better. Because if there's a biological ladder and it's standing there, the top rung says mitochondria, and everything else is in rungs below that. Because of all the things that you might lose and still stay alive, mitochondria, you lose that, you die. So that would have to be really up there at the top.
That's right.
And I really do believe it's the top rung of our biological ladder. And so if you realize that, maybe we should take it seriously and start working toward preserving and improving the mitochondria, because you can restore the mitochondria. It will regenerate, which is really cool. It's a good thing. Good thing to know.
Yeah, good thing to know. Thank you for that.
Sure. Well, until next time, this is Jerry.
And David.
We look forward to these videos. You see, these videos are the result of your questions. And we do the best we can to give a little insight on these questions, these comments. And we do this every single day. We bring you a video every single day. So if you like it, please hit the like button. And since it's something we do every day, why don't you subscribe? This would be great. And that way you always have some of the comments that you might put in the comment section that we will actually do videos on. So until next time, be well.
Be well.